Alright, here we go again. I am going live as if nothing else were really running on my machine. So I go to screen 1. I'm actually going to bring this up for a second just to minimize it to make sure it's sort of a fresh starting point. The only thing running is in fact the Edge browser and OBS. So what I'm going to do is to demonstrate this DrinkMe script that I talk about quite a bit. The DrinkMe script that gets you on to Linux, Python, Vim, and Git, and the Pipulate product. And I think I'm going to do one edit before I run the DrinkMe script, because I'm switching over from what was once my practice directory to being the Moz directory. I think I don't want to confuse issues when I drive people into this. While in a past life, practice was a good place to be. Currently, the Moz directory is a good place to be, the Moz repo. So inside my DrinkMe script, I've got just a few files. It's not really that many. And one of them is the git underscore installs. Those are the things that are, git cloning off of GitHub mostly. So I vim git underscore installs. I bring that file up. Again, these loads are longer than they used to be because of OpenAI, the plugin, the NeoVim plugin. So I have everything edited out as far as things that get installed at this phase. But I am going to put in some practice directory, so I can copy and paste that entry and just call it the Moz repo. And just change this to Moz. And double check the rest of it here. Moz into Moz. And I think that takes care of making the directory. Yeah, sure, it's a git clone. That'll make the directory if it doesn't already exist. And so I need to uncomment that out. Save and quit. Git commit. Edited in Moz repo. Git push, and so that'll be updated now on GitHub. So when I run the DrinkMe script, it will now install that directory. And now I'm going to actually make sure it does. I'm going to cd up one, clear, ls, and you can see the Moz repo right there. If I cd into it, yeah, I want to make sure I'm not losing anything. Git status, git, I'm going to look at vim git ignore and double check what thing. So the only real thing that I might lose is the Moz creds file. So I quit out and I cp Moz creds. Do I even have it in there? Oh, I must have put it in assets. cd assets move Moz creds ///. That means up one directory from assets to Moz and up another directory from Moz to repos. So that just copies it up, moves it 2 directories up. If I ls here, it'll have the Roger robot, but that's no longer part of what's necessary. I'm going to git remove. Git status. You'll notice it's not gonna, oh, cd ... git status. There we go. It's not going to complain about the creds file being moved because that's filtered out. Now the links API I changed a little bit because I put a little bit of stuff at the bottom of that, and I guess I'm going to want to load this before I get started because I think I may want to clean that out before I get started, or at least do a notebook clean. I was experimenting with that mermaid documentation thing, and it turns out you can actually use mermaid diagrams directly in Jupyter notebooks. But the thing is, it writes out actual files. It uses a service, so you're displaying the image from a URL being called. It's encoded, and so this whole thing here just doesn't belong in there. I'm going to rerun that cell, and I'm going to drop this into my notebook. That'll be vim ~/hide repos hide Mike Levin journal. And so I just want to stick that code somewhere so that I don't lose it. My current public entry is not a bad place for it. I will make sure it gets formatted as Python. Quit out of that. And now I just want to make sure the notebooks are cleaned before commit. Running this, I'll do a save here. It's always good to save. And then clean notebooks. This is the first time that ran after a restart, so whatever it's got to do to sort of initialize can take longer on the first run. I don't mean to make you wait. I'm just thinking through. Yeah, this is just the last commit before a push, so it's worth doing if it's working. If in doubt, restart the kernel. There we go. That has cleaned my notebooks, and so now if I do a git diff, we'll see it's really not that much in red. You're looking to minimize the red. If you see a lot of red, then you know a lot of unnecessary metadata has gotten into your status. So I am now going to git commit updated. It's not a good repo message, but git push. But I wanted to do this because I am about to cd ... do an ls out here to make sure that my credentials file, mozcreds, is sitting there, and then I'm going to remove recursive and force to the whole moz directory because there's going to be a before and after here. Now that I've cloned it and ensured that the latest is up in GitHub, I can delete that. And now if I do an ls, you'll see the moz directory is not there. Just the creds with my user account and token, secret key or whatever is in there. So I am going to close out of this. I don't even think it's my secret key and stuff for my real comped account. I think that's still my free account, but it doesn't really matter. The point now is I quit out of pretty much everything except for one browser instance. Boop, boop, boop. Who's with me? Someone's with me. Concurrent viewers 2. It's hard to know 1, 2. I guess if you want to say hi, say hi. I will pop this out. And I don't even know what screen to put it on because I don't even have my journal going at the moment. But I'll do it here on screen 1 because this is where I'll run the DrinkMe script. So when I talk about the DrinkMe script that does this, that's what I'm about to do. All right. So yeah, this is the way to do it. You open a browser. I use Edge, and then you just go to mikelev.in/drinkme, and that will bring up this, which in a moment will forward it to. And I gotta improve this messaging. I gotta tell people this is to install the Linux version of JupyterLab, which I state a lot better here, right? So this is formatted for mobile. It comes up really nice in mobile now and gets the point across. It lets you see the whole Alice down to that instructions save as .bat. So the mobile experience, if people happen to follow the DrinkMe link on mobile, shows you some good stuff. But if you're on desktop, it's just as well. You look at it, you see what it's asking you to do, and the install instructions. You can read this, but I know what they are. You select all, you copy. I'll do a few copies. Close out of your browser. You don't need your browser. And then new text document. Select all. Install.bat. Whoops, I made it bad. Install.bat, install bat. We answer yes, it's going to change the format type. And then we can edit it. It's presenting edit with Vim. I don't even know what would happen when I select that, but I tend to edit it with Notepad. So I guess just plain old edit will bring up Notepad, at least on Windows 10. Paste, save, close, and now it's the DrinkMe script. This will, if you haven't done it already, install the Jupyter version of, the Linux version of JupyterLab on your Windows 10 or 11 desktop. Now I do recommend, and it's in the instructions, to actually install Ubuntu 20.04 from the web store first, from the Microsoft web store. It's a wise thing to do. And then this will replace that install. If you don't do that, this will work as well, but it might not have all the system changes that Microsoft tries to make sure they do to your system for Windows subsystem for Linux. It's a pretty deep, it's pretty deep software. They're doing a lot of fancy stuff to make sure it runs well. So I just double click it, and there's your rabbit. Chase the rabbit, right? Learn more here, blah, 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 blah. A little bit of a sell. The unicorn says you're making an excellent choice. One more, it's your final warning, And then bam, Alice starts falling down the rabbit hole. This is not the error. I was hoping not to see this. And then it should have no, it didn't work. What do I have wrong? Did I leave the Ubuntu references? Yeah, let's see. So I'm going to do it in the repo location again. Oh, and now it's gone, so I can't use Linux to edit it. I have to use PowerShell. Things change. CD, DrinkMe, Vim install.bat. And then there's these two files, these two references down here that go to, they should go to Ubuntu 2004, but they may currently go to just Ubuntu, and they do. This is where it is. I need to put those 2004s back in. Escape, colon, right, quit, git, commit, put back, correct, Ubuntu 2004 reference. push. And this is from the Windows side, right? These tools have the same APIs, Windows side and Unix side or Linux side. So as long as you learn the standard tools, it doesn't matter what operating system you're on. You can just bop around to any operating system. Sometimes the backslashes will trip you up, but not always. And so I'm going to delete this, and then I go back to here, and I go mikelev.in/DrinkMe. Give it a few seconds. I could just click that. I think I have like a 10-second delay. Select all, copy. This is not necessary anymore. I think that's a side product of while the script is running. New text document, Control A, install.bat. Yes. Right click, edit, paste, save, close, and here we again have the rabbit that we chase. And now we hit enter to go through the menus. Unicorn says an excellent choice. It tells you a little bit about the execution context of it all. Gives you your final warning, and then down goes Alice through the rabbit hole. Microsoft in your mind? WSL is the cure. Welcome to a Linux wonderland. Command line. Are you listening? We're installing, and it might take a few minutes. Oh, okay, there's some bad stuff there. However, did I miss something again? Yuck, yuck, yuck. That is not correct. Edit. Ubuntu 2004. Ubuntu 2004. I don't think there is a... Oh, I turned it into a variable as well. Oh, here, but it's WSL user Ubuntu Linux version. That seems right. I wonder if that's incorrect. If when I did this and replaced all these Linux versions, whether I made a PowerShell only version of this. I bet I did. I bet I made this PowerShell dependent because I just checked all those things, and they are correct. I am going to undo a variable name that I had done in here. Now I'm going to get rid of that one. Sorry to make you watch this. I guess it shows you the sausage factory, right? It shows you how this is all made. Do I have people here? Should I keep going? There's people here. If you're interested, follow along. This is how I prepare the DrinkMe script. Lots and lots and lots of testing under different environments, favoring the lowest common denominator, right? So I had outsmarted myself by trying to turn something into a variable. cd DrinkMe, ls, vim install.bat. And I believe I have a video out there that shows me turning this into a variable. Somewhere down here, right around here, I set some variables, and this Linux ver being a Ubuntu 2004, being in that kind of variable name, I thought was a good idea. All these WSL things, Linux ver. Before I go doing that, I'm going to try running it from PowerShell to see if that error goes away. But if it does go away, that's an issue. I don't want to just let the script finish. I want it to definitely run from the command line and not just PowerShell contexts. So I can install.bat from here, and that will give me the same set of menus. And look at that. No errors here. Installing. This may take a few minutes. Yeah, it's doing it correctly, but I don't want this to be the only way it can be done. And I kind of reject, or oh, look at that, there is not, no, good, good, good. All right, installation successful. There's no distribution with this supplied name. Not found, not found, not found. WSLE distro not found. There is no distribution with the supplied name. It almost certainly is the way that whole that, like, the Microsoft might have changed something on me, right? So this definitely has a lot to do with that file. I can Control C out of this, go back into Vim that file, and then I can look down here. And this is Vim, right? You've seen me in NeoVim a lot, and I say NeoVim, Vim, it's the same thing. All the, keyboard bindings are the same, all the commands, all the key, everything is the same. So I am equally comfortable in Vim or NeoVim, but I am being careful not to customize my configuration to be NeoVim specific, or else I start to lose these benefits of having this in common. So think. The version is coming up empty, and it's almost certainly this Ubuntu 2.0.0.4 thing, because that's Ubuntu 2.0.0.4, and they did update it, but I need to be very careful about that. But I guess I can do the test, see if if Windows advanced their version to this, if they're looking for 2204, if they're up to this, I can stay in sync with what Microsoft is doing. It just might be, look, nope, those errors happen even sooner. Ugh. Getting to those files is the big thing. Now, let's see if there's a third occurrence of it like that. Maybe that's what's happening. So I can search for \n, which is carriage or line return, and then a Ubuntu. So that'll only show me the Ubuntus that are at the beginning of a line, and it's only those two. So I think I have that correct. Now I went, inserting all these Linux vers in here, and that's when things started going wrong. So if I actually put back in here Ubuntu 20.04 hardwired, there's a chance that there's a place where it's trying to use it as a variable where it just doesn't like it that way. So I will undo that variable stuff that I did before. I hate to do it, but it's just a search and replace, right? Should I do it as a search and replace, or should I edit them all individually? Okay, so this is where graphical editors sometimes have the advantage, because here now you have to do $s/% Linux var %, and hope that you're not interfering with regex characters. And then we can put Ubuntu 20.04 / yes G global confirm, something like that. Pattern not found, Linux var. See, but it's there. So what we can do is we can see if those are regex wildcard characters by just putting backslashes to escape them. And it didn't like that. So yeah, these are the things. Sometimes simple search, but look, there it's highlighting. So it's finding it. Oh, and we answer yes to everything? No, that just did it in that one location. Oh, I did :s. I need to do %s for the whole page. %s, yeah. There we go. That has done it all in one go. And it will have also probably changed it in that first line where it was being set that it doesn't need to be set anymore. No, it didn't undo it there because the curly brackets aren't there, but we don't need that line anymore. Quit. And then I'll try it from here. It's not a good sign. So immediately after unregistering, it gets that no distribution was supplied name. But if it only does it once, that's just the attempt to unregister the one that's not actually there. So after this occurs, if that error does not occur again, then that one error is actually acceptable because it's just trying to delete an instance that's not there because I've rerun the script so many times. If anyone's in the background, you can type. I'll probably see the chat come up through the transparency there. Oh, this is a good sign. This is a very good sign. This is the kind of stuff that I want to see. And if that happens correctly, I will exit out of it and do it the .bat file way, because these PowerShell ways, I want to make sure that's not sort of a hardwired thing. Yeah, that's all working correctly. So I'm going to delete out of that, clear, git status, git commit, unhardwired, or hardwired. I actually hardwired version name, git push. Now that I've pushed that, I can get rid of this. We bring up Edge, michaellev.in/drinkme, and patiently click that. Select all, copy, 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 because these days with Windows, you can't hit the copy key. You can't do you can't copy too much. Okay, and then new text document. Install.bat. Yes. Edit. Paste, save, close, and we get our interface again. Hello, Mr. Bunny. Hello, Mr. Unicorn. Hello, Alice. And it doesn't even get that first error there because that, 20.02 version is in location from a moment ago. So it really does, in fact, unregister it. And I think I got it. I think I nailed it. I'm glad I went through this process. I almost didn't do this particular live stream, assuming all this was working. So if people were out there trying to follow along, I'm sorry if you got errors on this. But now this will do the whole thing. This will do everything intended. And we'll test it. This is something we can actually test before I move on to the next video, because the thing I have to test is what the next video relies upon. So I'll show you that. I'll show you that while this is going on, because this is going to run for a while. And I can't change the font size or anything, so I mean I'll just keep that running there, and then I'll open something else in front of it to show you what I'm talking about. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'm going to go to Twitter. If anyone is out there and wants to follow me on Twitter, it's twitter.com/MIKLEVIN. Here's my Twitter account. and my latest post on it, which is going to be talking about this very topic. You might recognize Alice. And what I wanted to tell you about is some of these advantages. This starts your lifetime Linux advantage. DrinkMe. This Windows batch script installs Linux JupyterLab on your Windows 10 or 11 laptop. First install 20.04 at the Windows Store. Then save and run this bat file on your desktop. JupyterLab will be served at that location. And this starts your lifetime Linux advantage. Possible with this type of Jupyter install. The latest Python 3.11.2 at the time of this recording, the latest JupyterLab 3.6.3, as far as I know, the latest at the time of this recording. And you can do browser automation, which is not easy to do in the cloud. In other words, the Colab. The other ways of running Jupyter are mostly cloud ways. Well, there's an Anaconda install. This is better than that because just as hard to get browser automation running under an Anaconda install as it is under a cloud install. This is one of the few ways where you'll be able to do browser automation from Jupyter, from notebooks, and it's a lot of fun. And you'll also, I'm not going to do it in any of the videos coming up because it would mess with the streaming, but you can cycle your machine's IP using popular VPN software. And so whatever apps you write will appear like they're coming out from different IPs from around the world as you determine it. And that's possible with cloud instances of this stuff, but it's really not easy. It's actually quite surprisingly difficult. And that's in contrast to things like HMA, right? Hide my ass, and ones from my own employer, Encrypt Me and stuff, which actually have client software for your Windows, usually Windows desktop, sometimes your Mac desktop. It's just really easy to run, easy to cycle your IPs, come in from different countries or whatnot. So that's the reason why to run this DrinkMe script. It lets you do things you can't do otherwise. These are part of the Linux advantage. There's others. This all is leading towards scheduling things in a Linux server for 24/7, relentless, day in, day out automation, things being emailed, processes being run, which is also the place where most people piddle out or whatever. Yeah, it's telling me that a new Ubuntu is available, a new long-term release. That's why I tried 22.04. I might upgrade this whole thing to 22.04, the next version of Ubuntu that's formally long-term release supported, LTS, long-term support. But it's not ready to do that quite yet. Anyone chatting? I am listening, but you're not, so I'll keep rambling. And I see you all there, quiet as you are, and that's quite all right, because this is weird, abstract stuff. I really wasn't meaning to expose all of you to this, except I do these tests every once in a while to make sure the stuff I'm doing can be followed along with by you out there in the audience. I need to find a way to idiot-proof all this so that anytime anyone's watching my videos, they know they can just go run this DrinkMe script and then have everything that I'm using. And the Alice metaphor is a good one because you're falling down the rabbit hole and this stuff is going to scroll for quite some time. So getting people into the mindset that, you know, you're falling down the rabbit hole and just wait it out. This, by the way, is all kind of an alternative to using Docker. You can make Docker images and you can like freeze these Docker images and then put them into Docker distribution places and everything. But when an install script, when a setup script like this runs with nearly 100% reliability across all Windows 10, across all Windows 11 platforms, and soon across all Mac platforms, be them Intel or Apple hardware, Apple processors, then it's so much nicer to just maintain a script than to maintain Docker images. Can you imagine a script with this much stuff going on runs pretty much identically on like 80% of the hardware out there? You add together all your Mac, your Mac modern desktops. It's about 10% of the market. I don't know, something like that. And then you add together all your Windows 10 and all your Windows 11, which are like 60 and 20% of the market there. So 60, 70, 80, 90. I'm getting about 90% of the market can run this DrinkMe script. It's long, but it'll run. And once it runs, you will have a Jupyter-based Linux on your Windows machine, which starts your future-proofed future. Your future-proofed wonderland awaits. We are future-proofing you. It is a future-proofed wonderland. The wonderland of Linux is future-proofed. Everything works this way. You will never be obsoleted if you learn and master the command line. Sending things to things. That's all it is. It's not as complicated as it looks. You're just sending things to things. Sometimes when you send things to things, you have some additional things that you send, which are called arguments or parameters. They are arguments that go onto the parameters. The parameters take arguments. So because no one has chatted, I'm actually going to close out of that, and I'm going to look over here, and it's going to restore the chat over here. And sometimes things go wrong with a chat, right? So I'm just going to peek here just in case stuff went wrong. That happened on the last video. There was there's a friend chatting to me and I didn't see it. Like there was something wrong with the stream, but this appears to be working. Only a little bit of a delay. Sorry about the audio. There's a road in front outside my house. We could like follow along and see the stuff it's doing. I'm setting up virtual environments for the latest Python, copying the executables of the virtual environment into the virtual environment. This is all the stuff that's happening in that install.bat file you see, and then a companion file which is install.sh. And that's why I'm going to be able to make the Mac version so easy, because most things about install.sh will work on Mac just as well. Actually, it's all about the Linux virtual machine. Once that Linux virtual machine is going with, the same version of Ubuntu as you're using elsewhere, it's a portable, interoperable layer. It delivers on the promise of Java of old, right? Few people really willingly take up the Java programming language anymore. But back when they did, it was because of this promise of only having to write your code once, and it will run anywhere that has had the Java virtual machine, the JVM, or the Java runtime engine, JRE, ported to that platform. So long as it has the Java virtual machine, Java programs compiled for the Java virtual machine will run on it. Platform independent. That was the promise of Java. Now, since then, almost everything has started to work that way, more or less, with virtual machines. Python has its virtual machine, and everything does the same trick of compiling your code as far as it can And then that last bit of compiling that can't be done is handled dynamically at runtime. Some languages more than other. Python has quite a bit that can only be handled dynamically at runtime, like any of your logic having to do with lists. That's why lists are not encouraged if you're going to be optimizing for speed. The most dynamic types in Python are the slowest performance types. And so, they all use the same trick. But that trick, which was, a big promise of Java that everyone else uses, one of the big everyone else's, is Linux itself. Linux itself, because it's so easily virtualized now, under other hosts, like Windows will host Linux, Mac will host Linux, Linux will host Linux. Because everything hosts Linux, you choose a very popular, the center of the average distribution. Everything is that bell curve. The version of Linux at the center of that average distribution curve right now, most people have it, least problems occur, is Ubuntu. Because Google chose Debian for Chrome OS, which is nearly the same as Ubuntu. It's what Ubuntu came from, what it's derived from. And then Microsoft chose Ubuntu for the default version that's installed from the web store when you install the Windows subsystem for Linux. So because Microsoft and Google both chose Debian/Ubuntu, you know that if you put the latest long-term service release, the LTS 20.02, or now it's becoming 20.04 or 22.04, you know that almost everything is just going to work correctly, because that's what everyone's targeting as Linux platforms these days. There's other ways. This is not the only way. This is just the way that abides by the 80-20 rule, getting 80% of the benefit from the first 20% of the effort you're willing to put in. Not including the wait for the script to finish running, because that's kind of the opposite of the 80-20 rule. But you learn something. It's the rabbit hole. It's falling down into the rabbit hole. So don't get bent. I take a look. It's close to the end, so taking a look risks not seeing the end of the script being run. But more and more people are joining in. Hey, what's up? Desktop Chronicles, hi. I don't know if people are watching all the way through to get to the latest, or if you're just fast forwarding ahead to the latest. But this is once again, hammering on my DrinkMe script to make sure that I have everything that I have to have taken care of. And I'm glad I did, because I caught a few things. And it's getting close to the end when the screen looks like this. These are the final phase pip installs. Pip install this, pip install that. And setup.py is supposed to never be required for pip installed things, so most of them don't need it. But on occasion, you see a setup.py taking care of its little thing. They just have to update their installers to the new Wheels system. But it's neither here nor there. These are implementation things that just make it look more or less elegant during the install. And there it is. The Moz repo is being cloned into location. It happened. It worked successfully. Isn't this great? And I told you I was going to give a before and after. You can hit enter to release this. It takes 2 enters apparently. And I get rid of this. And then I go into this shell here. And it's going to drop me. This wasn't available before. This is the first time this particular instance of Linux is starting up. That is the first boot of this Linux on this machine, because I had deleted it off of the machine. But you'll see it has everything like I left it, because everything you leave is not in the place that gets deleted and restored. It's over on the Windows side in these protected areas that are sym-linked in. Geek. So if I just do an ls here, you'll see the Moz location is put there. And if I now cp, or I move my Moz creds into Moz/assets. I don't even know if I have, there's not a directory there. So I make dir Moz/assets. I should probably put the assets directory in the repo, so when I move creds around, it has a place to target. Now if I ls, the creds aren't out there anymore, and if I cd into Moz and ls there, it's inside that assets directory. Now the most important thing here is you've got a JupyterLab icon on your desktop. I should have deleted that so you could see it created and put into location, but this install you don't really have to run again until you want to update your Linux. But now I can just double click that. It'll challenge me for the password, which is a sign that you just reinstalled. It's foo. It's always foo. Back in the Linux days it was foo. Now in JupyterLab under WSL it's foo. You got to choose something. And you have to choose. I had to choose something because it wouldn't let you run it without some sort of security context, and this was the least evil of the various security contexts. And here we are in Moz. There's the last notebooks I had loaded, even though all of Linux was deleted and restored. Here it is back in place. And what I did lose is the database files. Now there actually should be a directory in here called database. I should take care of that because I know this script is going to refer to one. But let me just make that directory. I think it's called DBs, right? So I just have to look for DBS. Yeah, there it is. I dropped stuff in something called DBS, and I'll take care of this issue right now. And it's getting to look exactly like my normal setup. Full screen terminal, full screen Jupyter. All I need now is the browser full screen here, and I have my first three windows tended to. But on the first window, I'm in the Moz location, so I will mkdir dbs, and I'll mkdir assets. Now I'm going to git add dbs, but not everything inside of it. Same with assets. I especially don't want to add everything inside of assets. Git add assets, because my creds are in there. And if you vim.git ignore, I'll do less because Vim is taking a while to load. Less.git ignore, you'll see that the creds are being filtered out, so that Git is ignoring the creds. These creds are inside of the assets, so I add the assets directory but not its contents. I can do a git status, and it should just tell me I made a few new directories. It's not even saying that, nothing to commit, directory clean, but it will make those directories now. Git commit subfolders added. Even though it thinks the repo is clean, those things have been added. Git push. Let's see if it actually, it doesn't even do a push. It's going to wait until, but at any rate, now I can run these things. This is lovely, lovely, lovely. Isn't it great how the documentation, you pull up a notebook after complete reboot like that, or for all intents and purposes a reboot, and the documentation looks the way it should. It does not look like this, right? So someone who tended to Jupyter said, oh, when you pull up a notebook that has Markdown, let's render the Markdown so if it's documentation you can see it. Now this is a little text heavy. I'll add pictures, make it easier and breezier, but now you can actually walk your way through this. There's nothing about this that is not distributed with the DrinkMe script. That's such a big point here. Everyone's execution environment is exactly the same. So if I do this, you can do this, except for the Moz creds, right? So you need your own credentials. I'm using the free products credentials now, so you can too. And it hasn't really touched the API and will not until I go into here. Now you'll see every API I touch have its own little line, right? Boom, 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 boom. So those are real successful hits against each of those APIs. And now I can actually show what was stored locally. That's sitting in a database now. And like everything I do plays off of this way of working, a general key value store that's local. And, whew, yeah, good starting point. I'm like a month into working for Moz, and I'm just at a good starting point. But it is a good starting point. Anyone out there who wishes to follow along can. The DrinkMe script is working. The Moz repo is installing right along with Linux on a Windows system. Very soon, I'll have this all working for Mac as well. I know there's Mac fans out there, and I have my Mac laptop. I have my Mac laptop from work, but I have a new one coming because the battery doesn't hold a charge, and every time it gets unplugged, it restarts. And I just can't. Things are painful enough to do the setup work that I can't live with double painful during this setup work. I need to at least have that worked out. And then I'll have the Mac version working as well. And then everyone will be able to follow along and do this Linux magic. What Linux magic, you ask? Well, now it gets to the mapping things out. Is that how I labeled this live stream? I may have labeled this live. No, this live stream is just labeled for the updating of the DrinkMe script. Yeah. Running it and not even the updating. I thought this was going to be a super quick one. So, yeah, mission accomplished on this video. Even though there's folks here, the time has come, the walrus said, to end this particular live stream and to take a deep breath for the next, although I will give you a preview of the next, right? I have so far only really touched the Moz Links API, which if you're following along in the products, you go in here, moz.com. Hey, good, I'm already linked in. So, yeah. I guess once you're linked, yeah, see, these menus change between LinkedIn and not. These are, between logged in and not. So these are things that I'm going to have to bring up with the team because all this is being worked on. It drives me nuts that there's not one consistent navigation scheme, that it's very context sensitive. So let's go into Moz Pro, not even, let's go into Mozscape API. Moz Links API, right? So that link has to become a Moz Links API, not Mozscape API. And this whole Get Connected thing I've already done. I've gone into Get Connected. I have given it my credit card information and gone on to my free trial period. Although I'll probably have to, all right, I gotta edit this video now. Yeah, well, that's a good time to end the stream, and I'm going to see what I can do about cropping the end of it. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.